So I really think that one of the things that all public schools should teach is Kendrick Lamar's Damn, right? Like as an album.
What?
I
Okay,
think like
explain.
oh my god, are you kidding? It's Pulitzer winning. It's like it's current. It's
Hello, my wonderful folk queens and folk kings. My name is Jonathan Garano, and welcome to another episode of Spill the Fuh. If you're watching the video podcast, I did a weird, strange thing where I moved my hands like I was doing a dancing motion because I don't know. There's got to be some swag when it comes to the Spill the Fuh. Basically, it's a podcast where I bring on creative individuals and we just talk. We chit chat for a second and we just spill everything. And the guest today is impeccable, okay? So this is the first time in my entire life that we've ever actually talked. It was this podcast, okay? And there's a motorcycle outside and making a lot of noise, and I don't know why. Anyway, and I was on TikTok, and there was this viral, story on this app on TikTok about how this individual, this girl, was able to, become a novelist at the age of 15. That's right. The guest today is that individual, that author. Her name is Amy Zhang. That's right, AMYZHANG. AmyZhangBooks.com. You can check her out. She wrote a book called Falling Into Place, another book where This Is Where the World Ends. And I don't know, for some freaking reason, when I was on TikTok and I saw her story, very amazing TikTok, by the way, I don't know, I was just enamored, and then I don't know, I was just propelled to be like, yo, I'm gonna DM this individual, tell her how wonderful she is, tell her how when I watched that TikTok, she in a way inspired me. Like I was, a caterpillar, and I wanted to somehow transform myself into a cocoon, and then from there break into a beautiful, wonderful butterfly. And that's what she wanted me to do with this DM, and I sent her the DM, and bing bada boom, we scheduled the time to do a podcast, and this is the podcast. Now, a couple things. I kind of messed up in the beginning of the podcast because of Zoom. I forgot to press the record button, okay? So we're jumping into the podcast episode. We're about like 3 minutes into it. Basically, in the very beginning, I compliment her. I tell her how she is, how she, is motivating, how I'm transfixed by, her work. And I kind of explain for her to, tell me all about how she got into the whole business about TikTok. And then right in the middle of her story, I was like, oops, I forgot to record. But I didn't say anything. And I just pressed record because I didn't want to ruin the vibe, y'all. So I'm excited. We're going to get started. And don't forget, if you can, we've been working really hard. You could always check out spillthefuh.com and Spill the Fuh everywhere on social media. Don't forget to review on the Apple Podcast site. My Instagram is DugaJonathan. And with that said, get ready for the fantastic and majestic Amy Zhang. Oh, I also want to state that. Just go.
and then my little sister texted me and she was like, "You have to make a TikTok about like your book. It's gonna like go viral." And I was like, okay, I can probably do that. And TikTok's so funny. It's just like once the
Right?
algorithm picks it up, it's like
As long as
it's
you're
just
not
like
doing dancing
floating.
videos, you're okay.
Yeah. Um yeah, so I played around on it for a bit. I guess the first one I made was actually about like how long I had missed my deadline by. So I had like sold my first 2 books, and then my third one is like 4 years late. I turned it in, so it's like in now, but it was like 4 years past due. So I made like a TikTok about it because I was
Right.
so stressed. Because I was like in breach of contract, so like
Wait, breach of contract, how so?
I had like missed my deadline by such a wide margin, and they're allowed to ask for like the money back, which like obviously
Which
I'd
you
already
probably already
spent.
spent. Oh, wait, hold
So
on. Let's break this down for a second, okay? So wait, so you're an author, obviously, and you wrote all these like amazing books, but we're in a situation where you're 18 years old and you have to put something together, and then after you send it out, and then suddenly a publisher just gives you money?
Yeah, so I was 15 when Falling Into Place sold. I'd written it that year, and then I was already with my agent. So I was with my literary agent for another book, and you can't like approach editors without an agent. So
Oh, wow.
I had signed with her on a different book, and then I'd sent her Falling Into Place, and we sold that one like super quickly, and then I sold another two books to my same publisher. And it took a while. It took like, I guess I was like, I must have been like towards the later side of 15 or 16 when it sold, and then it came out when I was 18. I remember because I'd come to New York like to do like publicity stuff like the
Right.
weekend of my high school graduation. So I like came for the weekend, then I flew home and like graduated, and it was like the most stressful weekend of my life.
Wait, where are you from, by the way?
Well, so I grew up like around the Midwest. I grew up in mostly St. Louis, and then when I was in high school, I moved to Wisconsin, which is like when I started writing because it was such a big culture shock for me. Like
Were
it
you
was
just,
so
like,
like
bored at home and you were typing away?
I was like bored. Like the culture shock was really a lot for me. I had grown up in suburbia, so like it
Okay.
wasn't but I hadn't grown up somewhere where like there really was just like a group of people who had known each other since like preschool, and like literally all of them
Oh,
were white. Like I had never
yeah.
had an experience like that before. So it was a big transition for me,
It
and
was
I
like, how
started
does this
writing.
Asian woman try to figure this out? Wait, I have a
Yeah.
question, okay, so, I mean, I'm gonna cut you off from time to time because I just wanna figure
No,
this out.
please.
Okay, so how the fuck, Amy, does someone get an agent before you even begin to start sending your stuff to editors? Or do you already have, like, a written, like, manuscript or book, and then you start emailing a bunch of publishers, and you're like, "Hey, I'm an Asian American woman. I wrote a book. I'm marketable. Get me." I don't know.
Yeah, so how it works is that especially in fiction, you have to go to the agents first. Like editors won't read like unsolicited submissions, you know, like they would be just like flooded all the time. And like agents really are also flooded all the time with just like hundreds and hundreds of submissions from writers. So especially in fiction, you have to start with your full manuscript and you just send it in, and if they like it, they'll like you send in like your first couple chapters, and then if they like it, they'll ask for more.
How
And
did you find your agent?
I just emailed a bunch of people. It was it seems like it's I've tried to make like TikTok videos about it, but like it was what was this? It was like 2011, I guess. Like
Mhm.
it was like at this point in internet where like emailing people was like really exciting to me. Like it
It's
was like a fun thing to do, you know. So I yeah, I just like sent out a bunch of emails. It was like at this point where publishing had just stopped taking like for the most part stopped requiring like literal mail.
right.
So it was really easy. It was like completely free, you know, it's just like sending emails. So like I didn't have to like print anything or like pay for postage. Um, so it felt really like democratized and like easy to do. Not like easy to do. It took me a long time to
Right.
like figure out how to do it, but
Right, you LinkedIn or different publishing companies and then finding agents and say, "Hey, listen to my manuscript. Watch read my manuscript over and over and over again." Were you super excited when you finally got that agent? You're like, "Fuck yes, my name is Amy Zhang and I am the shit. Now it's time to go on editors." Or did you already finish the book by the time an agent got back to you and said, "Can I read more?"
So this was a different book. This was a book that I didn't end up selling. And
Oh,
I
what?
had yeah, yeah, so it wasn't the same book. Um so I'd written that one, and then while it was out on submission, I wrote Falling Into Place. And I actually did it for National Novel Writing Month, so I wrote it like in a month, and then I had like worked on it for a bit, and then I sent it to my agent, and like it I think it really like spoke to both of like writing that book. I always say this, like it was like an experience that I've never had before since like it was this um I've never written anything like that. I've never had that experience writing afterwards, but it really like felt like it spilled out, and then everything happened very like rapidly after that. So
Speaking about like spilling it out as a creative, do you ever just sit there and sometimes you wish that you could have those moments again where everything just flows with inside of like your soul and body and then gets out there?
oh, 100%. I mean, like, I still have that feeling, like, obviously, like, I still really like writing.
Right.
Um, I think I think that one was special. Yeah, I don't know, like, how that happened. Like, I've never written another like, novel in a month, Like, to begin with, like, I really struggle to meet, like, word count these days, but I think I was writing at a time where, like, my ego hadn't, like, been checked ever,
Right.
So, like, I felt so confident writing, in this way that's, like, been hard to, like, find again, but it really 'cause of I mean, it was 'cause I was, like, 15 and, I literally, like, hadn't nobody had checked my ego, Like, I thought like, it was easy to write because like, I was so sure that I was doing something, like, groundbreaking.
There's
Um
like no pressure whatsoever for you to be successful again. I mean, at that moment, but then now there's that pressure of, "Hey, she's done it. We're gonna give her money because she's doing it." And then now you have sort of do you think, like, it's
Yeah,
sort of like limiting beliefs in a way? Can you hear me?
I think it's a lot of things. I think, like yes. Are we good? Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's a lot of things. It's like I went to college, which is, like, a thing that checks your ego, you know what I mean? Like, that, like, learning about, like, people who, um, like, write in this more serious, more academic way, and also, I had never written for anyone, like, I'd never had readers, which
Ah.
really psyched me out, after Falling Into Place came out. It wasn't I don't know, I was so private about my writing, like, I never told anyone I was, like, into writing, like, I even after I had an agent or even after I, like, sold my book, I didn't really tell people about it, like, it felt like something that was, like, so, like, deeply personal to me, um, and then all of a sudden it was, like, out in the world and, like, there was no, like I had to, like, disconnect from that reality, but I think yeah, I think that's, like, something that, hinders it definitely hindered my creative process, but yeah, I don't know.
I mean, do you
You
think
roll with it,
so
like
so I mean, I get that. I mean, sometimes when I look back at kind of like my creative like background trying to place in like future projects, one of the biggest things why I think I procrastinate, and I don't know, maybe this can sound true to you, is because I'm always thinking to myself, is this going to be better than the last one? And
yeah.
what will people think of me? Like you have these fans, sort of like fans for that one little viral. Maybe you get like a DM from Instagram or an email like, "Thank you so much. This book or this video changed my life." Do you ever sit there and like, "Yeah, but I wrote this so many years ago. What am I doing now?"
Yeah, definitely. I feel that a lot. Obviously I went like 4 years, without publishing anything. Especially like publishing things that I was proud of. Like I feel really self-conscious these days that like the my public like portfolio, like the things that represent me as a writer are like a couple years old now, Like I feel like I've
Yeah.
grown a lot as a writer. So I'm excited for like this next book to come out and to be working on the book that I'm working on now.
What's this?
Um
What's this one about?
so the one that I just finished up is about a girl who takes a year off college but doesn't like tell her mom. She just like she defers a year and then she just like chills and like gets into things and like um
Is she
it's
Asian?
she is Asian actually. She's
Oh
it's
shit.
it's very it's actually very autobiographical and
Okay.
I think Falling Into Place was really autobiographical, which is also why it came out so easily. But yeah, I think like this one's a lot about like miscommunication. It's about like language. um it felt really good to write because it was about the things that I had been thinking about for the last, like, couple years instead of the things that felt like were things that I was thinking about when I was 15, which is, like, almost 9 years ago for me.
If we were to take both of those places, right? So if you were able to, because in the last couple of years, a lot of things have changed. I guess the first question then is, what is that thing that you would tell your kind of like 15-year-old self before they start transitioning, before they start aging closer and closer to what you are today?
Yeah, I don't know. I would tell myself to, like, chill a bit, I think, yeah, I don't know, I guess, like, my memory of that time is so, like, fuzzy now, it's like it's been, like, coded so many different ways in
Right.
my brain, but, like, I felt such a, like, massive anxiety when I was 15, like, I'm still, like, an anxious person, but, like, I
Right,
felt
of
such
course.
a I don't even know how to talk about it, I feel like, but it was just, like, I felt things so intensely, you know what I mean? And, like, obviously, that was just, like, part of being 15, but, like
Part of being that teenager where every single
yeah,
thing seems bigger than it is.
yeah, 100%, like, where your, like, chemicals in your brain are really out of whack, because of, like, hormones and things, but, like, yeah, I would tell myself to chill and I would tell myself to take a year off college, which I think I had thought about a lot, and then I wrote this book, obviously, about a girl who defers a year. Um, so
Did you really end up
yeah.
taking a year off of college or
No,
no?
I didn't. I
Oh, so
wish I
the
could tell myself to do it, yeah.
the book is kind of like, this is what I wish actually happened. So wait, what are
Yeah,
the
a little
you
bit.
said for the past couple of years, a lot of things have changed. What's that one important thing that has really made you think, "Okay, Amy, this is who I am right now, and I'm kind of a little bit happier in where I'm going right now."
Um, yeah, huh. I guess I feel very, like I feel a lot safer, like, being, like, in myself, if that makes sense. Like, I
No,
don't
explain that to me. What do you
feel
mean by that?
I feel like a lot more, like, just, like, comfort in my own body, which I think is, like, a thing that, like, especially affects, like, teenage girls, I think, where you have this, like, feeling of, like, disconnect between how you feel inside and how you express yourself and how that, like, presents itself to the world. Like, often there's, like, a bit of a chasm there. So I feel like that was something that I struggled with when I was 15, where I didn't feel like I didn't know what it meant to be, like, authentic. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't,
Right.
like, people would like, that was such a, like a key word, but, like, it didn't feel meaningful to me for a long time. So I don't feel so susceptible to that as I've grown older and, like, into my like, frontal cortex. Um,
That's still very hard though, you know? Like, even in my
yeah.
even past through the 25 plus, I would still look in the mirror and I would say to myself, "Jonathan, you are beautiful. Like, everything's gonna be okay." I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like in our society, everyone's always like, "Be authentic, be genuine." And then when you are kind of like acting like yourself, they go, "Don't do that. Why are you acting so weird?" And I don't know, I think that's like one of the still the toughest things that I'm kind of like dealing with right now is how does one become authentic? And I don't really know what the answer to that is. Like
Yeah,
how
but sorry, keep going.
No, no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, definitely that's, like, something that I think about all the time still, but I feel like more of, like a confidence that, like, Um, there's this dip when you're, like, 15 where it's, like, not cool to, like things, you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
like, once you're in college, like, that really goes away, like, it's cool again to be, like, passionate about things, and to speak your mind and all of those things that I felt like such an inability to do when I was 15, I think I, like, grew out of that, like, a little bit,
Because also you're like in Wisconsin, you said, and you have that little core little group, and so if you do speak your mind and people don't understand you, it's like, what group do I attend now?
Yeah, in high school, it's really easy to, like, be the trope that people think you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
especially like, my grade was, like, 90 people, so, like, it was,
yeah,
like, everybody had their little superlative that, like, you couldn't really shake off, and I didn't know how to, like first of all, I'd never been to a school where there were, like, 90 people in a grade, so, like, that was
yes.
already, like,
It's
a
like,
lot
"You're
to me.
Jared, you're Derek. Oh, hi, Derek again. Hey, Caleb."
Yeah, there were,
I
like
don't
oh my goodness, what was it? It was, like there were, like, 4 different Eli S's in my grade, like, there was like, 4 Matts, like, it was just, like it was such a
"Hey, Chris.
different
Hi."
yeah, it was, like it was a very different environment for me, for
But that's why
sure.
I think college is so important because when you go to college, you kind of find sometimes your group, but in a globalized sense.
Yeah,
Because everyone's coming from different walks of life. And so even though you guys share the same passions, what's really great is because of the different backgrounds and ethnicities and cultures that they have, it's within that same passion that you're able to like grow your horizons when it comes to different topics and different, ways of thinking. And when it
yeah,
comes to remote
definitely.
learning, like, that's, like, something that I'm thinking that we're missing. I like, my brother who was a principal at a school and now he, like, manages schools, he's saying that remote learning is actually what's it going to do, like, remote work and remote learning and online learning, is it actually makes people more separated from each other. Because, yes, you're doing school and you're doing class and you're in little Zoom meetings, but you turn off your little laptop, and guess where you are? You are in your own little bubble again.
Yeah,
And that's, like,
definitely.
something that I've been, like, thinking about. I mean, do you think right now the world is more separated than what it was maybe last year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I felt so lonely this year, and I don't know, I had such a, like, rough year, like, there were so many days, I don't even know what month, like, March, April, May, like, those first couple months of quarantine where I was like, "This is like, I can't do this again, like, I can't go to bed and then wake up and, like, still be in this room." Um, and I really was so lonely, like, I wasn't into, like, the sudden rise of, like, Zoom and everything, like, I was like, "I don't wanna FaceTime my friends, I want us to, like, go, like, eat dinner," like,
Right, I wanna
they
physically
were
touch them in some sort of way.
yeah, like, I wanna sit next to them, I wanna, like, feel like, that's something that's, like, really important to me, I think, like, I take a lot of my energy from other people, so it was really, like it was a hard year, I think, but starting in the summer, I feel like when we started seeing each other again, it was like I felt so grateful. Like personally, I was like,
Right.
this is like I can't believe I ever took this for granted. Like and at the same time I was really grateful to have to be lonely, which is something that like forces me to write more than like being socially active does.
Ooh, what do you mean by that? Like, being lonely, being able to appreciate the loneliness of Amy. What does
Yeah,
that
I think I
mean?
need to like I think I think especially when I'm sitting down to do a novel, which is such a like intense, long experience, like I need a certain degree of like separation from the world, like I have to like
Yeah.
it I don't know how to explain it. I used to write like in my closet or like in the bathtub with like all the lights turned out. Like I need like this like I don't know, I need to like like
What?
yeah, I know I did like
Explain
crazy things.
explain so wait, explain the atmosphere. So, like, are people, like, screaming outside or you're alone in your apartment or your
I need
house?
to like totally disconnect from like reality because I have to write about like this like mental reality, it's so difficult for me to like build this world where there where these characters are interacting in this way where I can see what they're going to do next, that it's so much more helpful for me to just be like alone for a week at a time. um
Oh,
and when I
wow.
and when I go out and like when I like talk to my friends and like catch up on gossip, it takes me out of it, and it takes me another second to like find my way back to it. So it was actually really helpful for me. Like I finally finished my book. So
I mean, hey, thank God for the pandemic because without the
yeah,
pandemic, you probably wouldn't have
yeah,
finished it the way that it was. Would you write on a typewriter inside your little, bathroom, or the internet's off and you have a little laptop and you just go
No,
at it?
I keep my internet on. I write on Google Docs now because I've like I don't save ever. Like I never got into like a habit of like just like control S all the time. So I actually run on Docs now because it it saves for you.
Wait, are you an ENFJ?
On what?
What's your Myers-Briggs, do you know?
Oh yeah, I do.
ENFP?
I'm Marilyn Monroe's whatever that one, the entertainer personality.
Yeah, let's
Um,
let's let's Google that. I said
I
that you
think it's like
are like an
ESFP
ENFJ.
or something like that.
Marilyn Monroe's, Myers-Briggs. Let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, ESFP. Oh, shit, you're the entertainer. If anyone is to be found
Yeah,
spontaneously
that's
breaking into a song and dance. Yeah, is that you? It is. Entertainers get caught up in the
yeah, I
excitement
mean,
of the
like
moment and want everyone else to feel that way too. No other personality type is as generous with their time and energy as entertainers when it comes to encouraging others.
I love, like,
Oh,
going out and,
you're
like, with
so nice.
people.
That's supposedly
I think so that like, I think that's, like, why it's hard for me to write when I'm doing that, you know, like, it's so I have, like, such a, like, a I don't know, I'm, like, very happy to, like, go with the flow and, like, keep the night going and then just, like,
right.
be dead for 2 days and, like, not be able to look at a computer screen, you know, so, like, um yeah, it's hard for me to say no to things when, like, all the when all the restaurants and bars and stuff are open, so I was grateful to be forced to stay inside.
You're like the ultimate empath. The one thing that I mean, talking about like FaceTime and everything. One of the biggest things that's I don't know about you, but that's FaceTime I think is very, very, very exhausting. Because I think like even now having this conversation with you over Zoom, okay,
Mhm.
we're slowly getting into kind of like a rhythm and a flow because the very beginning I was like, where the fuck do I go with this? This is Amy Zhang. She's the fucking shit. She's got glasses. Oh my god, I DM'd her. Oh my god, she's here. Fuck yeah, the author of my choice, Asian American woman, hip hip. But I didn't know how to like start off because I feel as if Zoom in a way is so performative. I feel like FaceTime
Yeah,
is so
interesting.
performative. In fact, I don't know if you journal, but I've been thinking about the concept of performance, and I think even journaling is performative
Oh,
because
100%. Yeah, I agree with that.
like, do you ever yeah, exactly, like, you're sitting down, you're writing, you're like, "If I read this letter, am I gonna laugh?" You know?
Yeah,
Am I writing
when I was little, I could never journal. I started journaling in college because before that, I was so self-conscious of, like, my future self. I was like, "I'm gonna read this someday and be like, 'What an idiot.'" Like, I can't write it down.
But now you want to, because imagine if you
Mhm.
wrote yourself, like, at 17 years old, and then you read back, it's like, "Wow, this is what I used to think?" It's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
Jonathan, I loved you at 17." Do you ever do this? Do you ever have you ever heard of futureme.org?
No.
Okay, so this is what I do at the end of every year. I write
Okay.
a letter to myself, and then you schedule it for a year later or, like,
Oh, I love
however
that.
right?
Yeah.
And what I used to do in my, like, teenage years, I used to write, like, "Hopefully you finished your goals, and these are the goals." But then as I progressed through my 20s, I'm beginning to write, like, "Hey, Jonathan, I wanna let you know that I love you. Everything's gonna be okay. Like, no matter where you are in your life, hopefully your soul and your spirit feels great." And I read it, and I'm like, "Jonathan, motherfucker." Like, even now, just thinking about it, I'm thinking about myself, how much I'm crying. Um, but yeah, it's do you do affirmations or what like, what type of journaling do you do to get kind of because you said over the past couple of years, you've been getting over anxiety, so I figure there's, like, some sort of, like, exercises or things that you do that kinda help you get over that and get you to a good solid space.
Yeah, I don't I'm thinking. Well, so I do journal. I've actually done it less during the pandemic just because I was, like, writing fiction so much more during the
Yeah.
pandemic. Um, I do this I used to keep this, like this sounds kind of psycho, but I still I have this ongoing journal where I write a dialogue between myself. Like I write like my current self, and then I write like Amy. This sounds literally psycho. I
No,
write
it's
like
not. It sounds
Amy
like an
in
interlocutor is what it sounds like.
I write it under like Amy in perpetuity, like the constant combination of
Right.
like all of the selves that I've been or will be. Um and yeah, I don't know. I don't read it ever. I like write in it once every couple months when I feel in the mood. But
See, that's the thing.
what
That's
else?
the thing with journals. I don't think we ever go back to it. I just think that hopefully when I die, maybe my kids or some random person will read it and be entertained, and maybe that's why it's performative. I really like that, by the way, that you write. I'm gonna try that when I write when I write my next journal post. Jonathan in
Yeah.
perpetuity.
Yeah, it's nice to, like, be able to imagine this, like, future self that has, like, all of this, like, wisdom that I don't have yet, but, like, um, yeah.
Because we're so good at giving other people advice. Imagine giving ourselves advice from the future.
Yeah, right? Like, I
Interesting.
wish
That's phenomenal. Oh my god. I gotta
it's
figure
like
out how
a
to do
comfort
that.
exercise almost.
Yeah. I think writing, by the way, I think writing is one of the best things that anyone can ever do with their life. And I don't know about you, but do you think we're losing that? I mean, I know that's such a like a cliche question, but looking for, well, first off, I'm a marketer, right? So I'm looking
Uh-huh.
at data. And
Yeah.
one of the biggest people when it comes to genders that actually purchase books is 70% women, especially when
Mhm.
it comes to young adult novels, especially when it comes to fiction. And
Mhm.
so, if you want to be rich, as they say, as an author, then either write nonfiction self help books or write for young adult women. And is that kind of the place that you're always thinking when you're writing, or are you writing just, for yourself in hopes that maybe someone will understand it?
Yeah, okay, so, I wanna answer how I feel about writing, but there's this really Ken Liu's letter that he put in the beginning of his newest short fiction collection. Answers that like better than I ever could. Where he's talking about like sometimes you sit down to write with like a goal, whether that's like to sell a book and be rich or like to convey some kind of meaning. Um, and it never works, like that's not enough to power you through a novel. Um, and I think that when you're writing for yourself, it translates better than when you're trying to like translate your thoughts so that they're like universally understood. Um,
Mm.
but he I don't know, he says it much more eloquently.
No, what's it called? Ken Liu, what?
It's Ken Liu's newest book. It's called The Hidden Girl and Other Stories.
Okay.
It's phenomenal.
I'm gonna definitely, after
Everything
I
everything
purchase
he
all your
writes is
books.
phenomenal. Um, yeah, but as for the writing, whether I'm afraid it's dying off, have you heard anything about GPT-3 or read anything about this?
No, GPT
Oh my
3?
god, it's been
Okay,
consuming me. So
explain this to me.
it's the newest thing in AI. It's the biggest like neural network that they've done. It's like the biggest like thing they've done
What
in
the fuck? Okay, what is this?
engineering.
What's it called?
Um,
GGPPA? What?
GPT-3. They
Okay.
released there's a great New York article from last year about GPT-2, which was the last model that they released. And this is GPT-3 and it has like the first one I want to say it had 1.7 billion parameters or something like that, and this one has like 175 billion parameters, and it's a language model, and it's producing like phenomenal writing because that's what it is. It's like a neural network for language. So I've
Right.
been thinking a lot about how our writing landscape is on this like precipice of change.
It
Um,
is.
and I feel really excited about it. I think there's probably some cause for worry in terms of things like uh like the truth is a lot more things are going to be bot written pretty soon, I think. Like
Yes.
Netflix shows and James Patterson books and things like that. But I don't know, I'm really excited. I can't wait for like this
Wait,
to get my hands on this.
okay, before we get to that, this parameters of 1.7 million. You talked about like phenomenal writing and then also writing that is not really sometimes you're writing for yourself. That's just like you're writing for yourself in regards to, hey, if it's understood, it's understood. But
Mhm.
as an author, right, as an artist, you want in a way to make money, right? So do you think if your book isn't like if no one can understand it or want it, does that make you a true author? Or does that make you an author that's just not successful? Because I've been having like a big debate with a lot of people. And the debate is like, is it art if someone doesn't understand what you're making? Because isn't art about taking this complicated, confusing idea and somehow molding it in a way where it can translate some sort of message to another person?
Yeah, interesting. I think I have okay, so I don't know if I have the same answer for art in general, but I think
Okay.
what I believe about language is that the point of having books and, like, a canon of books is so that ultimately we are speaking the same language, you know what I mean? Like,
No, I
words
don't know
are
what you mean.
like okay, I've actually never tried to, like, verbalize this, so I'm gonna
That's good.
try,
That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
but this is what I've been thinking about recently, which is that, I think the thing I've been thinking a lot about it because of, like, current events and how a lot of our, like, political issues in this country come down to the fact that we mean different things when we say certain words. So certain words like freedom, the right and the left literally mean different things for this, right? Like if you had
Exactly.
them write down definitions, the definitions wouldn't be the same. So to me, the purpose of books is for us to read like enough of like enough of like a what's the word that I'm thinking of? To have enough overlap where we understand each other when we talk, you know, where we have sort of this like agreed upon like
These
definition.
terms. It's
Yeah,
like everyone
exactly.
has these same
Like,
exact terms in this argument or this discussion that we're having.
right. And so when you have like literary phenomenons like Harry Potter, which like, you know, like a billion people read, and then they come to agree on these words, these certain things, you know, these certain values, which I guess, you know, like
Yeah.
um yeah, I was trying to think of an example from Harry Potter, but I can't right now. So like
Wingardium Leviosa.
um,
Everybody knows in that word it means
everybody
it's
knows
something
what
it's
that
kind of
means. And also like when you talk about like muggles, you know, and like try to relate that into like real life, like people know what you mean. And so I think to me that's what's important about writing and about like reading
right.
is to like have this assurance that at the end of the day we can understand each other because we have this canon of words where we've agreed on the meaning. um yeah, and the issue in that is just that like obviously like when you go to the academic canon or like these books that every child is like forced to read is that
Right.
it's like we're agreeing on this dictionary of words that's been pre-selected by like predominantly like white men
Right.
and also is like outdated, you know, like the language has changed since the 1920s, so it doesn't feel as yeah.
That's kind of no. I hear you. I absolutely hear you. I mean, but that kind of like brings me to a point where you're saying that first off, you're saying what I agree with the whole thing that if you have the same terms, everyone can communicate a little bit better. That's number one. Number two, I think what's really big though, if it comes to terms, then how come something like the Bible, for example, comes into play and everyone has their own set of terms when it comes to that? Is it because it's so predated, like before the 1920s, and a lot of people came in, and a lot of white men from back in the day decided to say this is what it's going to translate like?
Mhm.
And how is that going to be different from kind of where the books that you're writing is different from the books in the past?
Yeah, the Bible's a really good example because that's really one of those things where in in its own definition, like the words are so important, but it's been translated so many times that we don't have the same like language anymore. You know what I mean? Like they were
Yeah,
writing these things
exactly.
like 2,000 years ago. Like there are so many words and ideas that we're missing.
And some people think that, oh my
So
gosh, this is meaning that homosexuals are bad, where others say oh, they're not talking about homosexuals in this case. And there's always that debate about what is the right term. But then
yeah,
how
definitely.
come in these books then we understand like the terms? Is it because Harry Potter's fiction and the Bible's supposed to be nonfiction, and so therefore in nonfiction people can have a wide range of nuances compared to something that is totally fiction?
Yeah, I think the thing with the Bible is that you have whole areas of study where people are just arguing about the language and the definitions of words. Which I think if you need that, it's become a little too much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you need like I think
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, I get it. Sorry. It's like an evolution of thought right now. The Bible is an argument between words, whereas like something like Harry Potter is not an argument of what words mean what. It's this is what's happening within the story.
yeah, this is how the word is being used versus like let's sit and argue about the
Mm.
definition.
Oh my god, we're getting somewhere. This is so cool. Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense because right now what I'm seeing is kind of the evolution of writing is to me like Ruby Carr, for example, or other authors like this woman that I'm reading, Big Magic. I forget the author's name. She wrote like Eat, Pray, Love, and
Yeah.
I haven't got your book yet. I just ordered it yesterday. Um, there's like some rhythm to it, some beats to it, and I think it's
Mhm.
because the internet, with everything moving so fast, we're so used to copywriting. We're so used
Mhm.
to like
Mhm.
headlines. And as long as we're writing kind of in that beat of headlines and in that beat of copywriting, can people slowly get into reading again? Or am I
Right.
overthinking this? Or is like books its own little native platform where it doesn't really matter how the rhythm or how the beats or how the structures are presented, as long as it's just like a really good story, people will be listening or reading. I don't know. That's what I've been like thinking about. Like, how do you write your books? Do you write it like in a with a rhythm, some sort of beat to fit kind of where we're at in this generation of internet land?
Yeah, I'm thinking about these books that were big in when I was in middle school. I don't remember what they were called, but they were all like TTYL, like LOL. Like those were the titles, and those were
Yeah,
really for a second those were really trendy because we had all just gotten phones and texting. So it's so crazy to be on TikTok now and just realize that like a lot of these kids weren't like using dial-up internet, which
yeah,
to a point is still like how I think about internet. Um it's like and you're right, the landscape changes so quickly that like when I'm copy editing like when I'm working with like the copy editors at HarperCollins, like they for the most part cut out everything that is going to date the novel, like to a point, because otherwise it's already gonna be like a timepiece by the time it releases 2 years later. The lex like
the
like if you're
lexicon of
going to
everything.
reference like a song, or if you're going to use like a abbreviation, it's already going to be too old by the time the book comes out. So for the most part we steer clear of that.
What
What was
about
the
the
second part again?
rhythms? The like, how do you write? Is there a rhythm to it?
It depends. I think you'll see when if you look at calling falling into place, which is that it has a certain it it's interwoven in this way that made so much sense for the book. And I don't have a writing process. Like it varies book to book. Like
Yeah,
it
I'm
feels
not. That's why I
it's
didn't ask that question. Like, I don't give a. Like, everyone
like
has
I
their own process when it comes to things like that. How is that going to help you? I think what matters is kind of the suggestions of, hey, listen, this works for me. I write in a bathtub. Maybe you'll write in your car or under your bed sheets or naked while taking a shower. who knows what you do. That is your own little thing. Um, I think then it's like what speaks to Amy? What makes you go, this is phenomenal writing to me?
Hmm. Interesting. I don't know. I can give you like a list of books that have really spoken to me. I said this recently to someone, but I learned how to write because as a kid I loved rereading so much. Like my favorite books, like I've read all of them like 4 to 5 times cuz like they just like felt so satisfying to me. Like there was something about them that, and I can't tell you if there's like a pattern between, like obviously like
Wait,
good
which
writing,
book? Great
like strong
Expectations by Charles
characters.
Dickens?
No. Ella
The
Enchanted by Gail
Babysitter's
Carson
Club.
Levine. Like things like that, you know, and like the things I reread now are like A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara and like
Oh wow.
Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, and things that like they really speak to me, you know. So it there's no like pattern necessary. It's just like strong characters, good writing. Like this the same things that you would say about any good book.
You you know what's so crazy? What I'm realizing right now as we're talking, that I don't know, but we're thinking about the internet, dial up, and so many things. But I'm also looking at TikTok a lot. If you really
Mhm.
think about it, right? People are always saying, "Oh, the internet moves so fast. People are impatient." I don't think they're impatient. I think they're just, if the thing that they're watching doesn't have a story, then they're disengaged. And I think as long as there's a story within that piece, no matter how short or how long, and the story is very clear and understood, then you're engaged. Because I'm looking back at kind of remembering your TikTok and then other TikToks that I'm like inside my head thinking about. And they all sort of like tell a story. And I think what's so great about written language is that for thousands of years in the past, that's the one thing that has stayed constant throughout every single different type of communication. And I think that if you're a good writer, aka you're a good storyteller, hence why you have 3 books, you have a publisher, you have an agent, you know, you're getting paid for what you do. I think showcases how powerful you are in creating a world where people can go, okay, this is why stories exist. And I think what's really cool is that about like your books is that they last forever. No one's like my videos or my TikTok videos or my friends' videos, they disappear over time. But I think 2,000 years from now, they type up Amy Zhang, and guess who shows up? What do you think about that? Am
Oh
I
man,
am
I mean
I
like that's the dream, you know, like I hope so. Like but yeah, I don't know. I think the difference now, especially on TikTok, is that TikTok organizes everything for you. You know what I mean? You're going to see the best. You're going to see the best of the best. You're going to see the funniest TikToks because those are the ones that go viral. The ones that have some kind of narrative or like a surprise element. Like, but TikTok does that for you. Like, you can be on your For You page and it's like, it's already curated and it's perfectly like tailored to you because they have like, they really do have such a brilliant algorithm. Um, I think books are starting to fall like out of vogue because first of all there's so many books and not it's hard to tell which ones are going to that you're going to love, you know, and you have to like
right?
commit like 6 to 10 hours to find out if you love it. So it's just like more of a time commitment and it doesn't have that like algorithmic tailoring that we've become really accustomed to, I think.
So how do you get your book out there? Like, how
Hmm?
do you make sure people read it? How do you make sure people read your book? How do you make sure that you say, "Hey, my book is important"?
Honestly, Jonathan, I'm gonna be really honest with you. I totally checked out like during marketing. Like I'm not personally like interested in selling my books. Which
Wait,
sounds
that's why we're here. You know,
like
don't ever
inappropriate
apologize.
to say. I mean like obviously I feel very grateful that people are reading what I wrote and like it sustains my career. But um to me the thing that I love doing is reading and writing. You know, it's not like like selling or like marketing or like promoting. Those things feel like really uncomfortable to me. Um,
Oh wow.
but but yeah, I mean like I in general I just feel grateful for the chance to get to do what I love, which is just sitting around and like reading and writing. So
No,
I
that's
don't feel
perfect. That's the dream.
super yeah, I don't feel super engaged in the selling. It's something that like I don't know. I feel really anxious when I think of people reading what I wrote. I've never like since my books came out, I don't think I've read them. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's so interesting to me. I even my old little blog posts I like reading back, but you remind me kind of like Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp says he, makes the movie and then he never watches his
Yeah,
performances.
I've like read about a lot of actors who don't watch them because you
Wait,
can't
do you
change
wa
it by then, you know, like
Yeah, because there's always some way to, like, improve it if you have to.
yeah.
Have you ever walked, like, on the street somewhere and then you see, like, a little kid or a woman or a man or just somebody in general sitting down and reading your book?
You
Has
know
that ever
what's so
happened to you?
crazy is that it happened to me yesterday, like, for the first time in ages.
Wait, what happened?
I was just walking down the street and it was in somebody's window. I took a picture with it, so it's um, yeah, I don't wanna like, it never happened a lot, obviously, but there when the books first started coming out, I would see them, like, um, I saw one once, like, on the subway and, like, you know, they would still be in stores, so I like to, like, go peek into bookstores and, like, visit them. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's been a couple years since I've had a book out, so I like that feeling of, like, going to a bookstore and seeing it, you know, and, like, signing it and leaving it, but I don't know, I don't like, you mentioned, like, emails earlier, and I have a really hard time, like, responding to emails, 'cause I just, like, I don't know what to say. I can't comprehend the idea of somebody reading this, like, book I wrote. It's like there's some kinda, like, mental block there where I can't, like, properly imagine it, and, um
It's that anxiety of performance.
yeah, yeah, I guess so. It's something that's so intimate, and, like, I've never had a problem performing. Like, I grew up, like, performing as a kid, so, like,
Right, but I
I don't have,
mean,
like, that kind of stage fright,
performing
but
I think performing as, like, the analysis of looking what you've already done.
yeah, and it's like it's this like there's nothing more intimate than writing a book, you know, because like in order to get like 70,000 words down, you have to write a lot about yourself, you know, and like it's done in these like ambiguous ways so that people can't like tell who you are, like what you think, you know, but it's like I can look at that and be like this was who I was. Like these were the things that I was thinking. And that's so intimate. That's like this like section of my brain that's like in circulation. So I don't know, I feel very removed from that
It's like
aspect.
going on a date again, and you're repeating the same lines as it's another first or second or third date with different people, but you're saying the exact same stories, and I think that can almost be, in a way, exhausting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't work for like my brand of like extroversion or introversion, you know. It feels very intense to me. So, yeah.
Well, because
But
you're an
like I
empath.
do yeah, yeah, I feel very like susceptible to like the feelings of people around me. But I do really appreciate emails where people like say something like I felt what you were feeling, you know, because that's the point of it all. Like
Right.
that's like that means my words felt to me the way that they felt to you. So that's like successful communication, and like that's
We
like
were
obviously
able to have those terms. They were
that's
defined
what I
well. We
believe
understood each
language should
other. We
do.
good. Words are power. High five back into the email. When I don't even know what I wrote, but when I DM'd you, was that a little better than emailing you?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean like I I got a lot of DMs, like, at that time because of those TikToks where, like, people asked a lot of the same questions, so I, like, couldn't answer those individually, but I did, like a story highlight, which didn't
What
seem to
made
be
you want to
very
talk to me? What made you want to talk to me? This is so cool. I feel like now my ego's coming in. What did I
No,
do
no,
to like fucking impress
I'm
you?
Um, I was, like, super happy to, like, be on the podcast, obviously, I love talking about writing, and I'm always really grateful to have the opportunity to do that, so thank you, like, thank you for reaching out, like, I
No, you're phenomenal. Like I've been trying my very best to do as much research as I could about you, but the one thing, okay, I understand maybe this is not going to be like a primary thing, but when you look in the mirror, not only do you have colored hair, not only you have dope glasses, not only do you have a cool tattoo with like a yellow dress right now, but you are Asian.
Yeah.
And does that has that changed in any way regarding your work when you're writing it, but also kind of when you're in that space right now and like in this, I don't know if they call it the writers community, but do you feel not different, but other sometimes? Does that make sense?
Um, I think my Asianness affected my work very, very deeply in this way that I'm just starting to understand. When I was like 15 and writing for the first time, actually, Falling Into Place, you'll notice, has like no physical descriptions at all. Like, none of the characters are physically described in any way. And I was very purposeful in doing that. I was so young, you know what I mean? And like,
Hmm.
I hadn't ever lived in a place. First of all, I'd never lived in a place that was completely white like that. So I had only like very recently started thinking about race and like thinking about the ways that I felt othered like at that point. Within the writing community, I've really okay, I've been like thinking a lot about grad school recently because I've like really lost a writing community, I feel like. Like
Right.
I really miss college, you know, where
Yeah.
I felt so many people were doing these have like wanted to have fun like conversations like this, you know, like we did that all the time.
Yeah.
And like um so I miss that. Sorry, what was your question?
No, I think where we're going with this is what does it mean kind of to be Asian, regardless if it's like reading or writing, but now that as you're getting older. By the way, I love how like when you're 15 years old, you purposely made sure that there was no descriptions about kind of the ethnicities of these characters. But as we're like moving forward and we're experiencing so many things, what do you think it means to be Asian or an Asian American woman, especially like right now, I guess?
Yeah, I think my Asian Americanness is so important to who I am, and it's so important to my like conceptualization of like America as like a phenomenon. You know, I think
Yeah.
I I, I think hmm
It's kind of
I don't
tough, right?
know.
Because I've been it's been really hard in a way where first off, number one, I have a lot of privilege. I'm a male. I'm not a black man. I'm an Asian American man that lives in Los Angeles. And I can kind of struggling because I'm surrounded by like a lot of white folks in this house that I live in. And I've been noticing more when people say the words like Chinese virus or when they make fun of their bodies and it's something to do with like an Asian stereotype. Um, and I've been like kind of like questioning like what is my role kind of as like an Asian American male or just an Asian American in society? Like where do I place? Like today, I just had an argument with my housemate who was explaining to me that how come with Asians, you guys have this mentality or not mentality, but this like cultural stereotype that you are good minorities. And it got me thinking like, what does it mean to be even like a good minority? And then does that mean that I as like a good minority can be oppressed at times? Like is it racist for let's say, for example, America saying that Asian American men are not sexually appealing. Is it weird to say that an Asian American woman is perceived as like a good girlfriend because she is like seen as some more submissive than
Docile
others.
and yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
when I
totally.
guess when I asked the question, how do you view yourself as like an Asian American right now? Like, how do you feel? What is your place? Like, what is your kind of role that you think you should be playing, or if there is a role that you should be playing in our society?
Yeah, I just read this phenomenal book. It's called Minor Feelings by Kathy Park Hong, where she talks about the phenomenon of like Asian Americanness and what that means at this moment. So I would recommend it to everyone. It's so good. It's like so good. And she talks about like the history of the model minority and like how that came about in America. Um, so it was also a very useful book. But I feel I feel I guess about being Asian in this like particular historical moment. I guess the way that I feel about it is just that I totally had a thought and then I lost it. Give me
No,
a
it's okay. I will give
uh,
you a second. This is great.
what was I gonna say? I was thinking that that's so crazy. It literally just like flew out of my mind.
Your role as being an Asian American woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what I was thinking is that I think we lack in a lot of places, I think we lack the language to talk about um the ways that it hurts to be black in this country and it hurts to be like an immigrant in this country. Like I think a lot of like for a long time it wasn't appropriate to talk about that, you know, and I think like what's so amazing to see now is that that's changing and like we're giving platforms to people who can speak for themselves, you know, and that's a really powerful thing for me to see. The other thing that I've been thinking a lot about recently is that the reason that I had such a difficult time talking about that, and I think the reason that a lot of people do is because like racial trauma, I think in America is a childhood trauma. You know, it's like
Mm.
it's things that happen to you when you're like in first grade, like with your lunchbox, you know, like with your like Asian lunch in the cafeteria. It's things that happen very, very early before you have like command of a language to say like this hurt me in this way and like this is why, you know, and I think there's so many important people, especially in children's literature right now, who are changing that, who are like giving who are like putting that language into the lexicon, which is really encouraging to see, you know.
Wow. You know what I was just thinking about as you're saying all this? Because you said like, you know, it's all like childhood trauma in such a way because we don't have the ability to really begin to like communicate what hurt feels like.
Yeah.
I think the reason why a lot of our limiting beliefs, pretty much start and end at 7 years old, basically meaning that by the age of 7, you already feel this type of way of who you are as a person based on how, let's say, your parents treat you or the environment that you're in treats you. And it's all because we don't have the language yet to really explain how we feel. And as we get older, we begin to understand all those emotions and all those feelings. And then finally, we're able to put it out into the world and say, hey, I am depressed, and
Yeah.
I know what depressed means. And now I'm thinking of toddlers when something sad happens and they don't know how to express themselves and they're trying to like get inside their souls and rip it apart, but instead all they can do is scream. And again, it kind of just goes back to this thing that you're talking about, how it's all about, at the end of the day, can we define terms? Can we have
Yeah.
the same sort of like dictionary and definition for feelings, but also for the story to work out?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think one of the things that was so interesting to me about GPT-3 about that language model was that
Yeah.
the way it learned language was that it read everything that we've ever written, you know what I mean? 175 billion parameters. That's like the entire compendium of human writing. You know, that's everything. And so like And so right now, as like YA grows more diverse, what that's doing is like putting more language out there. It's like the way that we learn language is by seeing it done, right? Like that's the way
Right.
the computer learns language, and that's also how our neural networks learn language. So when the when what is available becomes more diverse, the language becomes more diverse, and you can read something and be like, I recognize this experience. Like, this feels familiar to me. And now I have language to talk about it. So I guess that's what I see as my role in all of this, is just to
Right.
like try to put into writing the kind of hurt that I feel and see if anybody feels that.
Wow. That's if you think about it, that's very touching and moving. I rarely say to someone that you're going to change the world because I don't believe kind of in that. What I unless you're Jesus maybe, but he's a magician. Um, David Blaine.
I mean,
Um,
maybe, like, who knows how we translated that, like, it's very it's very unclear.
but I think the way that you view the world in that case and finding out your role is I think powerful because so many people I feel like go through life and even me at this moment trying to figure out not only what makes them happy, what they're good at, but what they see themselves like doing day to day without really caring about not caring, but not really focused on the monetary gain out of it. But what you were able to do or you're able to do right now, who knows, something might change, who knows. But you're like, you know what? I'm doing what I love to do every single day. And I figured out what I'm supposed to be doing and I'm doing it. But do you think no, now thinking about it, like, do you ever think of the future? Do you ever think, hey, maybe in 5 years Amy Zhang is going to be an actress or, an astronaut or something beyond just reading or beyond being a writer, an
Yeah,
author?
I say this all the time, but I got my degree in philosophy and poetry, but I really wish I'd gotten it in, like, science, like,
Oh,
physics.
really?
I really wish that I'd, taken a few like, gathered more knowledge, rather than staying in this, like, lane where I've been.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, I
But it's 10,000 hours. I mean, outliers, like, if you wanna become a
yeah,
master at something, you have to be
exactly.
focused on one thing. So, I mean, it's good that you did philosophy and you're probably gonna go back to grad school and, hey, you're learning something and you're doing something and you're becoming a master at it that if anybody wants to be enamored by you or learn from you because you know so much, you can automatically give back. So, it's kind of a good thing that you didn't go into the sciences because look how much you're able to give. Your passion
No,
of
I yeah, I mean, like, will always be writing, I think, like, I think I was lucky enough to find something that through which I could express myself, at a young enough age that it affected my life choices. I think the thing is, like, in America, our education system is not built to help people discover that, um so I do wish that I had devoted a little more time into like finding material to write about, which is like
right,
this thing that I feel like I keep thinking this because like over quarantine I was trying to read this like physics book and I had to like get other physics books to like explain basic physics to me so that I could read this other like it was like I feel very aware of these like holes in my like knowledge where
right.
yeah.
By the way, I'm so glad that we found our flow, but don't worry, we're almost done. I know that you have like a time thing.
I'm
Um,
totally free. You can carry
yeah,
this wherever
but no,
you want.
this is so like when I think of you right now, when I first, thought of you and I think about like because I interview a lot of people and creators and sometimes I post an episode and sometimes I don't. I'm not gonna lie, like I get a little nervous and um believe it or not, I don't have that many Asian American women friends. Well, maybe besides my three sisters, kind of like just two others, right? But even that, and it's always hard to figure out kind of when I meet someone, especially like an Asian American woman, trying to figure out how to bridge some sort of like connection of commonality. And
Mhm.
so usually I start off with like, "Hey, let's talk about Asian topics and things like that, and maybe we can find something relatable. But I think what I'm realizing about this conversation is that you love language so much, and I think I'm so enamored because I love language so much. So I majored actually in rhetoric,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so like philosophy and rhetoric is like really close together, except
Yeah.
for rhetoric makes sure that we're like in a box, where philosophy is
Yeah,
like, let's
yeah,
go outside of the box, and I'm like, fuck you, and you're like, fuck you.
yeah.
Um, but the one thing that I've actually been thinking about through this entire conversation is that, oh, and just in general lately too, is that one thing that kind of matters, maybe during quarantine or maybe during this like political thing, is how do we get words to not only hurt someone, but how do we get words to kind of make someone take action on a belief that they have? And
Mhm.
I've been trying to figure out what type of words or what type of language or what type of structure, maybe I'm overthinking this, causes action. Does that make sense? Because like some people they
Yeah,
read a book.
totally. Mhm.
Okay, like Ray Dalio's Principles, right?
Mhm.
You read that and it makes someone go, "Okay, I must now live in this lifestyle where I'm following these key disciplines."
Mhm.
Or when, let's say for example, Mein Kampf, you read Mein Kampf and you're like, "You know what? I must destroy Jews." Am I overthinking this? Like what is the structure that makes someone take action based on the words that they read?
Yeah, I think it's just storytelling. I think our, like, primate brains are so taken by narrative and by, like, this very traditional, like, arc of struggle and then completion. Like, I think one of the things that really radicalized me was reading Citizen by Claudia Rankine, where she really, like, put those feel like, she told all these stories, in this way that was so moving, in language that was so beautiful and, like, so beautiful and so terrible, and, I think the way that we communicate best is just by storytelling.
Okay, you keep on saying this one thing, right? So you're talking about, the parameters and they write phenomenally, and then this person who wrote Citizen writes beautifully. So what does it mean? Like what does in your case, because everyone's, different, but what does a good story look like? And what is phenomenal and beautiful writing?
Yeah,
Like what does that even look like to you?
I don't know. I can give you examples of what I think it looks like. I don't know.
Yeah, what's an example?
I think well, okay, so I really think that one of the things that all public schools should teach is Kendrick Lamar's "Damn," right? Like, as an album.
What?
I
Okay,
think, like, it's
explain. Explain.
oh my god, are you kidding? It's Pulitzer winning. It's, like, it's current. It's That's how we're using language now, is the way that Kendrick's doing it, and he uses it so beautifully, and so, like, and it's relevant, you know what I mean? It's like the point of, like, reading now is so that we can communicate with each other, so that we use words in the right way, so that we don't mean different things when we say, like, freedom and, like, liberty, like, it's
Right, exactly.
so, like, I really think we should be reading things that are relevant, I think. Like, I don't
Wait,
know why.
damn is cultural, like, explain the what? The Kendrick you I have to reread that. I have to re-listen to that
Yeah,
album. Why do you
I'm
think that
let me look it up, but I'm pretty sure it won the Pulitzer a few years ago. It's, like, a
it
beautiful
did?
album. It's a beautiful album. I don't it must have won for poetry,
Wow. Be humble.
yeah, right? Like yeah, it won for music in 2018. Damn. So it's, like, one of those things where it's, like, it doesn't make sense anymore for us to read, like, Catcher in the Rye, it's not relevant anymore to, like, um, tell the story of, like, this
Oh,
yeah.
when you're thinking about beautiful and phenomenal writing, you're thinking, "Let's write something that's current, that makes sense now, that we can all understand where the terms make sense in this moment." Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and also I think that, like, for a long time, we've had a very narrow definition of relatable experience or like necessary experience, and that's why we read the canon of books that we read in like AP Lit or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and I think what we're
But
working
everything
on,
is nuanced. Everything's different now.
yeah, yeah, I think what we're doing now is expanding those horizons. So the things that are are beautiful and are phenomenal include things that aren't just written by white men and judged by white men, so that it can obviously different kinds of writing will you'll react to it differently based on your lived experience, you know? So I think that's the work that we're doing now is expanding those horizons.
Oh my god, that's beautiful. I want to end soon. That I was thought to me it was like Jonathan, just end right there because that's like a really good like book to end at, and I should. But when you were saying that, it kind of reminds me of all those books where the main character is sort of like this young white male or young white female who is dealing with all these like adolescent, tropes.
Mhm.
And over and over and over again, we see that. And as much as they're like really good books, like The Fault in Our Stars, which is like one of my favorite books of all time, or the, Perks of Being,
Mhm.
yeah. I think right now, I think more than
Yeah.
ever, we just need a main character who doesn't follow that trope. And as you said, is this new book that you're writing or that's coming out more like that in that vein?
Um, I mean, it's about a Chinese American girl, you know, it's like it's a lot of my own experience and the things that I've felt and tried to put into words. But I think in general, like the thing that we have to the thing that we really have to recognize in the landscape of literature is that for the most part, we have sources to help us understand how white people feel. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those are already there. And so the things that we need to work on expanding is not that anymore. it's like I was thinking when you were talking about The Fault in Our Stars is that there's such a obvious like with John Green, it's so obvious as to how he was inspired by David Foster Wallace and how David Foster Wallace is inspired by like Monty Python, you know, the writers of which are predominantly white men, and like the way that we make language is also extremely derivative of each other, you know? So, like, when only white people are writing, then, like, the things that come out of that are still centered on the majority experience, which, um, isn't I don't think is what we want anymore.
No, perfect. That's beautiful. I am. What's that word when like? Well, first off, my this is very exhausting for me because it's Zoom. So, but I absolutely adore you. The word is ineffable, where basically I have no more words, but that affected me in such like a major way. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you
Um,
so much for this conversation. It was really great to talk about these things and, like,
No, it's
language.
really good. No, it's so good to like bridge that out. Where can people find you, Amy? And when does your book officially come out? And all that good stuff. Anything that you want to
Oh,
promote to
yeah,
my
I don't have a
300
release
listeners.
date. Yeah, I don't have a release date yet. It's still with my editor. So, I don't know, I would guess probably 2022, 21 if things are fast, probably 2022 at this
How
in
do
this
how do people find you?
I'm on Instagram, sometimes, and I'm on TikTok sometimes. I go through phases where I delete both, but I'm
I know,
usually
me too. I delete them all the time because I don't know. Wait, do you
I
have a
know.
website like Amy's something
I
Zhang
do, I
English?
totally do. I have a website, it's
Wait,
amyzangbooks.com.
wait. Do you
Um,
have? Let me check this out. Do you even have like an email list? You should have an email list. Amy
yeah, I know,
ZhangBooks.com.
it's silly because like, it's amyzangbooks.com, but
Right.
I've been dragging my feet about setting things up. Um,
Oh
but
my
yes,
god.
I
Okay,
will
forget the blog post, Amy. In your landing page, all you have to do is do a MailChimp and have your little like, hey, you get announcements when I have my new book,
Yeah,
and
that's a good
maybe
call.
hashtag exclusive things. Dude, you have no idea. Okay, so I know you don't really care about money and all that great stuff, but as a marketer, as someone that helps companies push out their products online, an email
Mhm.
list will change your life.
Okay, I'll definitely set that up. Yeah.
Right? Oh my god, you
I
know
know,
what
I
you
have
could
to do
do? Oh
it.
my god, you know what you could do? Okay, this is what you could do, okay? Can I just like spiel for a second?
Yeah, tell
Okay.
me.
So sorry. I know this is so stupid and weird and nerdy, but
No,
whatever.
no, not at all. I'm very curious.
Okay, so imagine this, dude. Imagine this. They go on your site, Amy Zhang, right? Books.com, because they were on your TikTok or like your Instagram. And then you have like, your pictures, whatever that you have, and these are the books, of course, about, and there's the email list, and you're like, hey, sign up for the email list because you're gonna get exclusive content and you'll know when my next book comes out. Right? And then maybe you do like a winky face or whatever your personality is. Then you push it out there, boom, they sign up and they get an automated welcome message that you make for them. So from now on, no longer do you have to worry about writing an email. You just have to worry about only that one special
Oh,
automated email
yeah.
message. And then whenever you fucking feel like it, maybe it's like every 4 months or every 6 months or whatever, you decide, you know what, I'm gonna write an email to my fans. Now, what's really great is if you continue TikTok and you continue Instagram where you start growing, and let's say you get like 500 or 1,000 people that sign up on this email list. You know what you can do when your book gets published, you take those emails and you go to Facebook, and Facebook, if you do a lookalike audience, so Facebook is very gross with data. Long story short, you could do a lookalike
Uh-huh.
audience, and Facebook will find people that look exactly like the people that love your writing and promote your book
Oh, I
to
see.
them.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh my
shit!
god. That's so crazy. I actually had to take down my Facebook author page because I got mistaken for this other woman who wrote like an anti-Trump book, and I got all these like hate messages. I was like, okay, that means it's time to delete my Facebook. But you're right, they have a lot of great tools.
Oh my god, you could do that. Let me
Yeah,
know. I want to
I
help.
totally
I'll do it for
will.
free. I'll do it for free. I swear to God. I hope a lot of creators will do it for free. I want you to. You have no idea. I'm gonna end with this, but fuck. Okay, so this is very weird. This is very strange, but this is how I perceive you to be. Okay, in a positive way. Okay, I tell some people that hey, you're a star. You're a star. You're a star. You're a star. But then how I say it is, you're like okay. This is so weird. You're like the unpopular popular individual. As in, what do I mean by that? Is that when someone looks at you, they don't automatically think, hey, this person is a leader based on how our society works. I was having a conversation with my friend, and it was like, why do some people they're viewed as like an alpha male, even though, for example, I'm the CEO of my own company? And I said, because society has this trope, this vision, this perfect avatar that allows this person, because of the way they look, to become that leader and that alpha male. And because they're already put into that position, they're able to practice becoming a leader. And so, therefore, they
Definitely.
end
Def
up becoming a leader, right? And so,
Mhm.
people like, I'm going to put myself in that little box, people like myself and some others, and maybe even you, where society goes, they're not leaders. They're short or they're Asian or they wear glasses or they don't have that aura automatically, and so we have to do things differently. But what's so great is we live in this time right now, Amy. We live in this time where talent and experimentation can outbeat anyone out there who society says you are a leader. And so we have a chance now, if that makes sense. It's still not as great as like these people, but it's like enough. And so when I look at you and I look at your profile, and the reason why I was so like propelled to like just message you and be like, you're the fucking shit, was because when I was, watching your TikTok or looking at your Instagram, well, basically it's the TikTok, you can feel number one, that passion that you have for what you do, that empathy that you have for others. But more importantly, you're like the underdog, the true underdog, the unpopular, popular one, that no one's there to sympathize with you, but they're knowing that, hey, listen, I can rely on Amy to do what I need her to do for me. But guess what? Now Amy is relying on herself to do what she needs to do. And I think that's what's so beautiful.
Well,
Does that make
thank you.
sense?
Yeah, definitely. That's really sweet. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's, something that would resonate with a lot of, like I think that's something that'll resonate with a lot of people, like definitely.
I don't know. All right, Amy. AmyZhangBooks.com, everyone. Check out her Instagram. Hopefully, all the links are there. If she's, I know she, maybe it's there on her website. It is. I just checked. Follow her on Instagram, TikTok, all of
I'll
those
put it
great things.
there tonight.
I'll put it in the description. And guys, you can follow me also on Do Good Jonathan. And so now what's going to happen is I'm going to press stop on Zencaster so you no longer hear me. And then we just wave. Bye, Amy.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Jonathan. That was really
Thank you,
great.
Amy. It'll be out next Thursday. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.